I can't tell you how many times I've heard individuals say that when they try to discuss differences or have confrontations with a narcissistic person, they don't get any good traction whatsoever. It's like trying to pin down a cloud. When you try to talk with a narcissist about things that are different between the two of you, and by the way, that's a normal thing that happens in any kind of relationship, that scares them. You see, keep in mind, they live with a sense of alternate reality. They have a very fragile ego, and so they want to interpret and arrange truth in front of them in such a way that keeps that fragile ego propped up. So when you come along and say, well, I don't agree, or there's something I think you need to consider, it's like, no, I can't do that. And so one of the primary things that narcissists do in the midst of differences with you is they go into a deflection mode. They'll do anything except focus on the topic at hand, because what that does is it allows them to have an upper hand, and they also want to make sure that they keep you confused, or they let you know that you're way off base, anything at all to keep them from having to answer your questions or to receive input that they don't particularly want to receive. So today I want to go through various ways that narcissists will use this deflecting manner of communication with you, because the more you see it, then the more readily you'll stay out of their clutches. What they want to do is they want to keep you way off your game and take you way off the path. And we're going to be able to talk at the very end how you're going to respond when they do this deflecting. For example, let's suppose that you have a difference or a conflict that you need to discuss with the narcissist. One of the first things they'll do is they'll deflect by going into the invalidation mode. They want to make sure that you understand that you're wrong and you're misinformed. For example, they may use deflecting statements like, how can you possibly think that way? Or you so don't know what you're talking about. Or you have no right to say that. Or this is ridiculous, which means you're ridiculous. So they invalidate who you are, what you say, what you feel. Another deflection that narcissists do, let's suppose that you're trying to talk with them about something that's important to you that involves them, and they'll go into straight up denial. They have an unwillingness to acknowledge pertinent facts. Now, the deflecting narcissist may say something like, I never said that, or I never did anything like that, or I don't know where you got your facts, but they're way off base, or what you're talking about has nothing to do with me. And then when you try to come back and explain why you're saying what you're saying, it's like, no, that doesn't apply to me. I don't even know where you're coming from. So they just go into a deep denial, and you can't even begin with any kind of good discussion, because you can't figure out what the truth is. They won't acknowledge truth. Another deflection, and this is big, that narcissists do when you try to talk with them about differences. Notice they'll get away from the topic and they'll use character assassination against you. They'll overtly attempt to make you look foolish. This is a variation of the old tactic of shooting the messenger. For example, you talk with them about something that's important, you make a confrontation, they'll look at you with this contempt and say, you are such a loser. Or you have to be the dumbest person on the planet. Okay, then you can argue the merits about why you're not a loser, and that's what they like. Or everyone knows that the stuff that you say is just made up. I mean, why would anyone listen to you? Or you're always finding fault. And what they do is they'll throw these kind of character kinds of qualities at you of a very unflattering nature, hoping that you're going to take that bait and go off and discuss why your character is good. And before you know it, we're not talking about the topic at hand, which is what they want. Another deflection tactic that these individuals can use is they'll use the tactic of reversal. They'll throw negative attention back onto you when you're trying to talk with them about something that's important. For example, let's say you've told them about something that's a concern to you, and their comment can be, why don't we discuss all the things that you do when you screw up? Because there's a whole bunch. Right back at you. Or you tell me that you think that I'm defensive. let's talk about why you're so impossible. And nobody can get through to you. And again, we put the focus back on you. Or another way that they'll do that is, why don't we just call all of your friends in here so that you and I can tell them about all of the insulting comments you make about them behind your back. So if you want to talk about problems, let's bring everybody in on this. And so they reverse it onto you and then make you to be the problem. And it allows them to think, yep, see, once again, I'm the best person in the room. There's another deflecting tactic that narcissists can use. And this is the classic covert passive aggressive. They'll use communication shutdown. They want to create uncomfortable silence so that you'll finally just drop the subject and you'll say, forget it, just forget it. And so many times when you try to talk with them about a problem, they may just glare off into the distance and not make eye contact with you. Many are known, and I'm sure you've had times when this has happened, they're known for just going into the silent treatment, punishing withdrawal. Sometimes they'll say, okay, I know that you need to talk to me about something, and I promise I'll get back to you. And then they don't. And when you try to look them up, it's like they're evasive. They don't return text messages. They don't return their emails. They just go into ghost mode. That's their way of staying off the topic, which is, and even though they're not saying words, they're communicating a whole lot, and that is, you're not going to pin me down. Another deflecting tactic that narcissists can use is they'll go into the mocking and ridiculing style of communication. They want to neutralize you and anything that you have to say with sarcasm and caustic comments. They may give you the eye roll or speak in a sneering or a haughty kind of way. For example, they may say something like, oh, so let's hear what your highness has to say now. I'm sure it's very important. And they'll just go straight into that kind of sarcastic mode. Or they may say something, as you talk with them about the problems, they may say something like, so you're telling me that I'm the most impossible person you've ever met and you've ever talked to. Boo-hoo, it must really suck to be you. And they just kind of go into that dripping form of ridicule toward you. Or they may say something in a mocking kind of way like, I'm so scared that you're going to whine and complain about me again. And so they just kind of give you that kind of haughty and condescending approach. And before you know it, you talk about their haughty, condescending approach, and then they defend that. And then again, we're off the topic. It makes you want to pull your hair out, doesn't it? Okay, how about another way that they show deflection? And that is, they may try to ask confusing questions. Now, this is a form of gaslighting, which we've talked about on other kinds of videos. That they want to create doubt inside of you about what you really know or what your truth really is. For example, they may say something like, you know, you're constantly making mountains out of molehills, and this is another one. You're taking a little bitty tiny thing and you're trying to make it something a whole lot bigger than what it is, and I'm not biting. So they go into that confusing kind of comment. Or, are you sure what you're saying actually happened? Because there have been plenty of other people who've talked to me about the same thing, and they have an entirely different story. What are your sources anyway? And they get you going off on that. Or, I don't even know what you're trying to prove. You're just talking in such circles. What's the deal anyway? What are you getting at? And so you have to go back and re-explain yourself, and they'll make another confusing kind of comments, and it's like they got you going. Or another form of this deflecting form of communication is they try to refocus the attention elsewhere. They want to put the attention onto another person or event. So let's suppose you're talking with them about a concern, and they may say something like, why don't we talk about your idiot brother? You're talking to me as if I've got a problem. Do you remember when your brother did such and such, last Christmas? And they just want to go off and start talking about that. And before you know it, you're addressing the merits of someone else. Or it may be something like, Every time we're about to go out to dinner with these people, you seem to bring these kind of topics up. I think there's something going on there. You must not really want to be around these individuals. And so they like to focus your attention on something that really has no relevance whatsoever. Or it may be something like, you're talking with me about a problem, but really the deeper problem is you're not over that last relationship you had before me, or you're still unpacking some of your baggage from your miserable childhood. That's what's going on here. And then you begin talking about those kind of things. This is pretty devious and pretty aggravating to think they have so many different kinds of ways they do this. Or yet another deflecting tactic they may have is what I call circular debates. Don't you remember, you told me the exact opposite last week than you're talking to me now, so what's going on? Now, what's this all about? They want to challenge your logic, or they want to make you kind of go over some other kind of things that may not really relate, but they're trying to tie it together. Or do you want to bring the kids in here and ask them? I think they'll tell you some other kind of things, and before you know it, you're talking about the kids. Or can you back up what you're saying with some sort of research or some sort of evidence? Because I'm not buying it. Yeah, I know that as you listen to these different categories, and you could probably add a whole lot of other kind of things, this just leaves you thinking, I can't get through to that person. And my reaction to that is, right. Keep in mind what I said. They live with an attitude of alternate reality. They make up their own truth as they go along. And when you say, I have some truth that we need to go into, it's like, nobody does that because I have to prop up my ego. And so when you enter into their game, then that's when they have you going. So let's recognize the biggest mistake that you can make is to plead your case and to get in there and chase the rabbits down the trails that they have constructed for you. When you're trying to discuss disagreements with a narcissist, state your truth. Give clarification or give evidence or reason for why you're saying what you're saying. And when they give the inevitable deflection, set your consequences. Set your stipulations. Establish your boundaries. In other words, let it be known, I am who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am and what my ideas are, and I feel no need to justify myself. Here's how I'm going to manage myself with you going forward, and then stick with it. Let your life reflect your truth, and then just know when you're dealing with this deflecting narcissist, you're dealing with someone who's living in the twilight zone. That kind of thing. Common sense is not common sense whatsoever to them. Now, I do hope that videos such as this can stimulate some good awareness and thought on your part. And if you've not yet subscribed, I would encourage you to go beneath this video and hit that subscribe button. We'll keep more coming. I have an article in our survivingnarcissism.tv website that actually reflects the information that we have here. So you can go there and look at our article, and there are many other articles and videos and quizzes, things like that I hope you'll find that augment what we're doing here on YouTube. In addition, I have my drlescarter.com website, and I have another channel, the Dr. Les Carter channel, that has other kind of topics on psychological matters. Sometimes when you hear topics like this, it draws up all sorts of feelings and responses from the inside of you, and you think, I need to unpack this with a counselor. We vetted a group, and we have a link below here that will take you there that can help you that has professional counselors that can help you work through these kinds of things. In addition, we have links to my online video workshops and books and even coffee mugs. Keep in mind, narcissists can be highly frustrating. They want to keep you off your game. And so that's what this deflecting thing is all about. When you have a calm confidence that who you are is legitimate, what you think, what you feel is legitimate, that's the best thing that you can bring with you. And don't get taken down their rabbit trails. It doesn't work. Stay calm, stay firm.